Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of our podcast, A Little More Light. Today, in the spotlight, we are going to focus on time management, and we have Vinay sir to advise us on the same. Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
So, sir, now as a UPSC aspirant, we are always short on time, right? So, we have to study books, we have to attend classes, we have to give tests, and then we have to revise also. So, how does one manage that time effectively? Because I think the biggest, complaint is we don't have enough time to do something. But then I think there's a quote which says that, you all time is a created thing. Like, if you say you don't have time, it's basically because you don't want to do it. So, what is the right perspective? Like, how do we firstly manage time effectively? And is this just an excuse like I don't have time? What is your perspective, sir?
So regarding time, so as we know, time is same for everyone, for every human being, every being. So time is has its own existence. It is its own dimension. So when it comes to UPSC aspirant, some of the reasons why these people, I used to be an aspirant, maybe I would have complained in the same manner. Why we keep complaining that? So I'm short of time. One is, I think, misplaced priorities in terms of not knowing what exactly to do in a day, not knowing exactly to do what over a period of time, in a week, in a month. So when you don't have priorities, when you don't know what is most important, you will always feel that you are short of time. Second reason is that there is this fear, the component of fear, that you are not very clear about the future. The future looks very murky, shaky,
Uncertain.
uncertain. So what happens, because it is not certain, it doesn't matter how much time you have. It always feels like you don't have enough time because you don't know what is going to happen. The third reason, again, it is something to do with the time management itself. You know you have sufficient time, but again, you are either a perfectionist or either you are research minded in this exam parlance, where you want to dig deeper into something. So you get carried away with one thing, and then few things get started piling up. They become pending things, so they add huge burden on you. So this accumulated burden will make you feel that you have small amount of time with you. So to better manage time, what you need to do is that first understand this examination needs a really smart preparation. What do I mean by smart preparation? Smart work is nothing but two aspects. One is using available resources to the maximum use, right? Without going after too many resources. That is smart preparation. The second aspect is saving as much as time, right? When you are trying to do a task, that is also part of the smart preparation. So somebody who can understand these two aspects, saving time and plus using the available resources. So using the available resources to the maximum use will result in saving the time aspect. Again, saving the time also has so many components, and not indulging in unnecessary activities, not indulging in gossips, not indulging in too much of entertainment. So that also saves time, right? So I've interacted with literally thousands of students, and from my own journey, what I can say is that we have more than sufficient time with us to do everything we need, right? So from my perspective, I have enough time to manage the institution, to look after the family, to look after myself. So for example, earlier, even I used to complain. It's a evolution in my own part. So I started taking care of my body recently. So before that, I used to tell I don't have time to go to work. I didn't have time to go to jogging or workout or something. So once I started making it a hobby, so I don't know how 1.5 or 2 hours flies, and it has added more time to my day by making more efficient, more productive, and it has become a habit. So where I'm sensing it, like if you observe my compared to my previous podcast, so I've reduced my weight,
Yeah.
right? So in a healthy way, without going after any keto or
No fat
intermittent
diet.
fasting, no fasting, nothing, everything normal. Why I'm talking about it is, so we have complaining attitude about everything. We have excuses. So if you come out of that, you will realize time is your friend, time is your companion, time is your true friend. In a way that time will help those who help the time. I hope you got it.
If you had to elaborate a bit more on that point, sir.
So time helps us when we help the time. So helping the time here is first valuing the time,
Yeah.
respect it. Second, save the time, right? Whenever you have time, try to save it. Try to save it for so many aspects of your life. And be kind to time, right? So don't waste it, don't throw it. So when you do these things, so time, in fact, it's my own kind of, you can say, nonsense theory. So the time starts supporting you, right?
You
I mean,
respect time and time respects you.
correct. You love time, time loves you back.
Yeah.
So I feel
Nice.
like, in some ways, I have this weird theory that, time is an organic entity which is watching us.
Watching you all the time. Yeah.
For me, that is
Nice.
God.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So, sir, people say, they think we have to study for 18 hours, 20 hours to actually clear UPSC. But then, do you feel that is the right approach? Or should they like just study for, like 8 hours, 10 hours and use it productively? Like be productive in the time they study for. What is your opinion, sir?
So it depends on when did you start your preparation. If you are somebody who has started preparation now and wants to give 23 exam, study for 14 hours, 16 hours. But if you are someone who has started now but have planned to give exam in 2024, so you have plenty of time with you. So my suggestion, 6 to 8 hours of daily preparation in a consistent manner. So what I have realized is that if somebody can give around 8 hours of daily preparation consistently over a period of 1 year, they can cover every part of the syllabus, every part of the examination. So after, let's say, December, or let's say January, February next year, they can increase the intensity, like 10 hours, 12 hours, to do more practice, to be on the safer side. But in the very beginning, I don't recommend anyone to start doing 12, 14 hours. Now, if somebody has already prepared over the period of 1 year and planning to give 23 examination, I think they should be looking at 10 to 12 hours of preparation, which should include at least 40% of their time should be devoted to practice component, right? So read whatever you want to read, let's say for 6 hours, if it is 10 hours. So another 4 to 5 hours you practice questions on whatever you have read. So this combination of reading, revising plus practice should be the way ahead.
And revision, sir?
Revision, like minimum 3 revisions of every source they have read. For example, let us say if they have solved our current affair compilations, current affair quiz
Yeah.
compilations. So doing it one time is of no use. If they do it minimum 2 times, some use. 3 times, very good use. They will notice that we post in 10 months we post 5,000 questions. So if somebody has read all these 5,000 questions 3 times, let us say, so there is a high probability that they are going to get 20 to 25 current affair questions in the actual preliminary examination. Absolutely right. So 25 questions out of 5,000 questions is a very high probability, right? But it is a low probability if you don't remember any of these 5,000 questions. You will end blaming institution,
Mm,
these
yeah.
quiz compilation, websites, everything. So that is what ultimately, if you haven't used the resource to its maximum, you will never know the value of that resource, and you will never be able to apply the value of that resource in any of the exam you are writing.
So, and also one more thing, sir, we have a lot of people who say you need to solve like 100 tests, 150 tests from many, many institutes. What is the right approach there? Because should you solve like only from one institute? Should you do it from two institutes? What is the optimal number and what is the right way to solve these tests? Like, how do we utilize this resource and be resourceful with it?
Again, it depends on their level of smartness, intelligence, skills level. For example, there are students who are well read in a way. For example, they have been preparing for 3 years. Somebody into quizzing habit, somebody is into reading, writing habit since their school days. So they don't require to practice like madness, right? So innately they can get these MCQs right, objective questions right, because they are in the habit of doing so, right? So for them, I would recommend you like 30, 40 random mock test. Doesn't matter which institution, just for the practice sake. But if somebody who started preparation or reading these kind of topics, materials, books after their graduation, and if they're struggling with these objective tests, if they're not able to score say 60 70 in these mock tests, for them my recommendation is that at least 12 to 15,000 questions they should solve. Doesn't matter which institution, but within these 10 to 12 to 15,000 questions, if you have 2,500 questions from previous year UPSC civil service exam alone, and then you have around 1,000 plus questions from different other UPSC exam like CDS, NDA, CAPF, engineering service, and geoscientist exam. There are so many exams. So plus, as I said, 5 to 6,000 current affair questions. And then for every subject, so like institutions like Insights IAS, we have created question banks. So we have a Indian polity question bank, environment question bank, published by prestigious publications like Oxford University Press. So where we have thousands of questions in each question bank. So they can practice these questions. So on a daily basis, now they should be looking at 100 to 150 questions, and they are for the daily practice. So solve every question, doesn't matter right or wrong. And once in 3 4 days, a full length test we should be given very seriously, like in the examination condition, with OMR sheet. Sit properly for 2 hours, solve them. After them you analyze thoroughly, but on a daily basis, which you are doing 100 150 questions. So this is mainly for the sake of familiarizing yourself with different dimensions of a topic, and whichever you absolutely don't know, you only read about them. Which you are already familiar, you can just skim through and move to another subject.
So we hear also time management is very important. Like we need to sit and solve it for 2 hours in a very serious way, because in the exam, like sometimes we may run out of time. So that is something they need to learn right now.
Especially in CSAT, it is purely lack of practice that many people are failing in CSAT. So it is not because of the nature of the questions. Again, that is also getting slightly tougher. This year it will be even more tougher. But many students who are good in aptitude, they are failing in CSAT paper mainly because they're not doing the practice.
They're complacent about that.
Complacent, overconfident. So they just have to solve. So my suggestion, those who are weak in CSAT, I'm telling them 50-60 paper you do. Those who are average, you do around 30 CSAT papers. Those who are okay, good. So do around 10-year papers, but don't go with only previous year CSAT papers. They are deceiving in nature. So they give you false confidence that you are good. So they create some kind of bias that you are okay with CSAT. You start scoring 80 90 in these papers and you think you are good in it. So my suggestion again is go for different aptitude questions from different examinations, including some questions from CAT, some from GMAT, some from SBI PO examination, CDS, NDA quant questions. Again, the topic should be similar to what UPSC is asking. Questions should be from these examinations. So see if you can solve these questions, increase your competency in these questions. So then you are done with CSAT.
Nice, sir. And now that we're speaking of time management, sir, obviously the biggest thing is distractions. This whole thing of distractions, external distractions, your phone, social media, your peers, your friends, what's happening. So how does one deal with distractions?
So I believe distraction doesn't exist.
Okay.
So what doesn't exist is one's focus.
Nice.
Right. If one is totally focused, then there is no distraction. Right. So you get busy with what you are doing. Right. So then I don't think any force in the world will distract you. If you are committed, if you are determined, if you have single-minded focus on the job you are doing, I think you will get the courage to say no to so-called distractions.
That's such a great line.
Thank you.
Very nice, sir. So thank you so much for your advice. It was really nice talking to you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.